So the thing is, the media moves much slower than I do. Like traditional media especially moves much slower than I do. In a lot of instances, it requires like, I will give you a little bit of inside baseball here. There's a lot of journalists in here that already know this, but many of you might not. But it takes a long time and sometimes a lot of hand holding and a lot of convincing to be able to get an article like that pulled off. So there's a reason why someone like CoffeeZilla or someone like myself can be on the ball on an issue like this and consistently talk about it for almost like a year or something until the New York Times even figures out that there is a serious issue. Obviously, part of the reason why, there's downsides to what we do. Like, for example, an investigation conducted by the New York Times into the dark and predatory world of crypto casinos will most likely have a lot more information in it than something that even myself or CoffeeZilla could potentially find, right? But it's the downside is like basically 2 years too late almost, where like these guys have been able to basically create an incredible foothold. And not only that, but also by the time this article comes out, right, they've already moved on to the next thing. So like right now, the other meta, like this is obviously still an ongoing problem, right? Like massive gambling issues, massive gambling addiction problems that they're creating for a lot of young people and whatnot. And Eric obviously Eric Toller, shouts out to Eric Toller. He's a great investigative reporter. I'm a fan of his work. He played a big role in this article. So the current meta right now has shifted beyond crypto gambling, or at least like what the crypto gambling casinos have been doing is basically paying creators on every social media platform to consistently funnel people in and also engage in some sort of media manipulation as well, whether it be botting the shit out of Reddit and different subreddits, LSF and the like, or whether it be the clip accounts, the clip farming accounts that they have, that they utilize for whichever, like they've moved on from purchasing and sponsoring major streamers into this new method of finding and plucking young talent and trying to make them into notable figures, right? Investing into them and potentially locking them into 360 deals with a management company. And that's the reason why it's not an accident. If you are a Kick streamer, if you get a Kick contract, you get a lot of coverage from a lot of these blue checkmark accounts nonstop that are specifically designed to create controversy and to create drama potentially against like people that these guys are beefing with, or consistently try to make them go viral. But then also there are entire Discord servers with bounties dedicated to like highlighting and promoting these Kick streamers in general. And they have there's a massive TikTok presence. That's part of the reason why you see stuff like, this new guy Clavicular popping off everywhere, right? You might be wondering like, where the did this guy come from? Well, he was already, he had like a decent TikTok presence in the looks maxing BP community, black pill community. And then he became a Kick streamer. And at the age of 19, he has like done a ton of plastic surgery to himself and stuff like that. But once he became a Kick streamer, you saw his clips pop up way more. He's going viral with way higher frequency, and that's because there are so many of these like booster accounts that are all over fucking TikTok. So while the New York Times is covering this, they've already, the meta has even moved on from this, even though this is still an ongoing issue. So obviously we'll cover this today. Eric Toller's piece on it. Crypto casinos have become a multi-billion-dollar industry. One of the ways they've grown is with an unusual marketing strategy, paying millions to internet celebrities to live stream themselves gambling for hours. A lengthy investigation from me, Nail Betty, and Jenny Rantas. Okay? We spoke to dozens of streamers, casino employees, mental health professionals, and industry insiders to understand how the new world of crypto casinos came about and how they aggressively market with live streamers who are popular with teenage boys. While some crypto casinos have big-time endorsements, Stake has deals with UFC, Formula One Racing, a Premier League team, they also rely on an army of online influencers and guerrilla social media marketing. You've probably seen the Stake and other casino logos on Twitter/IG everywhere. Like, this is an insane one, but 14-year-old Emmett Till was dragged from his house and was kidnapped, tortured, and lynched by a mob of white people after falsely being accused. Conan O'Brien today accused Drake of raping a minor at the Oscars, and the culture celebrated and laughed. Lol. Is this what the culture feeling? Lying on innocent black men. Gamble responsibly. Sponsored by Stake. We first started the story after noticing Vitaly Z playing state casino games while doing his pedophile catch videos, where he would sometimes play on his phone with the alleged predators on stream. So yeah, there's the article as well for that one. Young men are particularly interested in the streamers recruited to gamble in crypto casinos like Stake, Roobet, and Rainbet. For example, XQC and Aiden Ross were popular gaming streamers on Twitch before being paid millions to stream on Kick, where they gamble for hours every week. A young man we spoke to who graduated from high school in May told us that he started gambling in crypto casinos when he was 14. He lost over $10,000 gambling and even took out personal loans to chase his losses. We found many stories such as this. And for those of you who, I mean, this is something that I've talked about quite extensively, as you guys know. This is something that I warned about quite frequently, as you guys know. And of course, they never let me fucking get over that. Like virtually every single one of these guys that went and got the kickback became my number one ops, my number one enemies, and consistently would shit on me. The irony is there that like many of their fans that initially were also saying like, fuck Hasan, he's a snake, he's a bad person for calling this shit out, he's actually evil, he's a hypocrite, yada, yada, yada. Many of them also now agree with my position. Many of them also now basically realize like, yeah, this was actually pretty bad. It ruined the content for us, whatever. They still hate me, but at least they are of sound mind on this issue, you know? But often these gamblers told us video games with gambling features drew them in. The three I heard most often: NBA 2K with its Gacha S packs, Fortnite through wagering, CSGO with its skin market. Many gambling streamers got famous with these games, especially 2K. Roobet and many other crypto casinos are not legal in the United States, but US gamblers, teenagers, and adults alike can dodge regulations with relative ease through the use of VPNs and verified accounts used with IDs purchased online, often from people in Africa and Asia. We spoke to a Canadian man who makes money just under 20 grand in 2025 through this fall, creating accounts on crypto casinos after purchasing photos of IDs in Kenya and India. He sells these accounts, and he also uses his referral code to get a fraction of what they wager. This referral system is a bedrock of crypto casino marketing. Streamers drive signups to their code, which rewards them based on the account's wagers. Often, this is also how casinos assess streamers' success. More wagered on your referral code equals a better deal from the casino. And for those of you that don't know how this stuff works, obviously, just like in the world of drug dealing, the thing that matters the most is the whales. Casinos and drug dealers rely on people who are deeply addicted. It's not the, casual gamblers and people like that casinos make money off of. Like someone like myself, I am a casual gambler, okay? I have a lot of disposable income, and I will go and I will travel to Las Vegas and I'll fucking drop a bag every now and then. But ultimately, I am not, despite the fact that I have a very addictive personality, I've never been, luckily, addicted to gambling, right? I've never been addicted to gambling because I just, do it in a very responsible and controlled way where it's like, this is money that I'm lighting on fire for entertainment, and it's fine if I lose this much, but I don't go beyond the amount that I've lost, right? So someone like myself is not a real earner for the casinos. However, someone who is deeply addicted, that makes much less money than I do, right? But is deeply, deeply addicted to gambling is going to be a much more valuable person to a casino because they are willing to take out loans so they can continue gambling. They don't know when to stop. They will never stop. Like they have a deep and crippling addiction. Those are the people that casinos make money off of. The reason why the marketing for gambling, for regular casinos even, revolves around casting as wide a net as possible by trying to get as many people in through the door with like, your first one is on us. Your first bet is on us. Here's $100 for you to do your first ever bet. The reason why they do that is because they want to cast as wide a net as possible so that they can find those whales, okay? This is what casinos consider whales. That's why they give them a lot of benefits to hook them and then to keep them there to the best of their ability. So you can have someone who's super wealthy who is not seen as like a valuable enough client to make money to the casino, as opposed to someone who is middle class or someone who is poor that will be a much more reliable outlet for the casino, much more reliable earner for the casino, because they will dump a lot more money than they actually have. So basically, it's a very dark part of the business, but it does revolve around preying on the most vulnerable. And crypto casinos work in the exact same way. If a regular casino that has to be in a physical space requires a ton of entertainment to keep people inside of that casino, taking away the clocks from the walls, regulating the temperature in the rooms to make sure that you don't know exactly what time it is and you're getting free drinks in the process of gambling. Crypto casinos also have to have an entertainment function or a draw to draw you into the room, right? To the online casino. And that is Kick.tv. That's where Kick comes in. Kick is the entertainment that is supposed to, at the very least, directly bring in new clientele. And if they can't do that on Twitch, because Twitch has banned Stake.com's crypto gambling initiatives and sponsorships, then they have to create their own. That's how we arrived at Kick. I didn't know that. That's good on Twitch. That's so funny that we have people who are in this community that didn't even know that that was happening. You know what's really funny about that? There were a couple streamers who were actually very upset about this when some of the top streamers were getting paid a ton of money to do crypto gambling and getting paid. I was one of the streamers. That's what I was trying to describe early on. There is a reason why so many of the people that went to Kick, some of the top content creators on this platform, from Asmongold to XQC to Trainwrecks and all these other people, you know, they all despise me and Pokey specifically as well, because they think that we were the most responsible for that website, or for Stake, the crypto gambling casino, getting banned off of this platform. Could you explain what would be the difference between Vegas residencies and entertainment sphere of Vegas in general? Easy. Vegas is a physical location. Therefore, that automatically creates a natural barrier of entry for young people to be able to go and gamble. Also, there is a ton more regulation in Las Vegas casinos as opposed to a crypto casino that is based out of, you know, some island somewhere, some island nation somewhere where there's very little regulation, very little opportunity for legal recourse. The other side of the story also is, because I'm not like across the board anti-vices. I've never been that. I'm much closer to social libertarianism when it comes to consumption than an authoritarian when it comes to consumption. That's not a secret. Something that I've talked about quite a bit. I myself have gambled as well and continue to do so. I don't have that major of an issue, but for me, it's the immediate access that you have on your phone with these gambling apps that makes it infinitely more dangerous. It's the cryptocurrency and the unregulated nature of this that makes it infinitely more dangerous. And it is the direct marketing. Because the thing is, you can have a Vegas residency, right? You can have a Vegas residency in a casino, but the person that's doing a Vegas residency in the casino isn't stopping in the middle of their, you know, entertainment session. Like Bruno Mars isn't stopping in between songs. You know, he sings apata and then goes, and right now I'm going to go, you know, drop $10,000 on red. You should gamble with me. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, like, even if he's doing that for his own, you know, personal gambling addiction. I know he's not the best example to use here because there was suspicion that he was deeply addicted to gambling. But like, do you see what I mean? There's a difference between, like, if someone is personally gambling or whatever, that's their own thing, but they're not like literally marketing themselves gambling in real time in between their sets, because that would be the equivalence. That would be the equivalence to like what, you know, a person getting paid specifically to gamble with the house money to try and bring in more people into the casino, into the crypto gambling casino. Anyway, from speaking with more than a dozen gambling live streamers, we were able to discern a roughly 4-tiered system to how these deals are structured, ranging from lucrative to exploitative. The most lucrative streamers are those who don't work with referral codes and are signed to massive contracts reaching millions of dollars annually. These are the big names: XQC, Drake, Aiden Ross, and so on. Like most all gambling live streamers, they stream on Kick. Celebrity partners like Drake and Mr. Ross sit at the top. Many of them don't directly earn money from an affiliate program and are instead paid millions to promote gambling on their sites of their enormous fan bases. Almost always, these streamers are famous for things other than gambling and bring their viewers with them, which often include young men, especially teenage boys, to watch them gamble for hours on streams every week. The next tier are streamers making a good amount of money and usually using referral codes. They often make well into 6 figures annually, though their compensation is often negotiated on a month-by-month basis over Discord or Telegram. There are dozens of these on Kick. The lower tier are those with small deals, often a few $100s per stream, done on a fill basis, More on that later in this thread. Depending on where they live, they may or may not be able to make a living on what they earn and sometimes end up with nothing. The lowest rung are raw, self-funded streamers and those on microscopic fill deals. These are the guys who will bet with their own raw cash, hoping to get eyeballs on their stream and parlay that into a sponsored casino deal. The most common question I received with this story was, are these guys usually using real money? Many gambling streamers work with a fill. This is when the casino gives them a set amount in their casino wallet to gamble with. They keep some of it, some or all of it after they stream. A very common structure for a deal. Streamer gets $500 a day from the casino, 5 days a week to gamble with for 90 minutes to stream. At the end of the 90 minutes, he keeps whatever is left, whether it's $0 or $1,000, sometimes with caps. Some people get huge fills, others small. For streamers already making money from Kick through their creator program, this gambling money is just cherry on top, complementing their primary income. But for many more, it's their livelihood. And as you'd imagine, many of them often develop destructive gambling addictions. Other streamers we spoke to got what they described as fake or monopoly money deals. They were given money in their crypto casino accounts to play with on the live stream, but it was non-withdrawable. The money is technically real, but they can't get it out of the casino. Some streamers are quite upfront about the nature of their deals and will describe exactly the terms of how they get the crypto they gamble with, if it's real or not, if it's a fill or if it's raw. Others are not quite so honest or avoid the topic when it's raised. This opacity keeps things fuzzy. Are you actually watching someone live? Are you actually watching someone live and die with every bet, or is it just pure entertainment with no real stakes? Many viewers gravitate towards watching degen streamers, guys with obvious crippling gambling addictions. This authenticity becomes its own spectacle with these guys all over YouTube. From their crash outs and their huge losses, one guy poured urine on his head to get $500 to gamble with, and this led to him getting a relatively short-lived streaming deal with a casino. This is literally Black Mirror shit, dude. We are living in a Black Mirror universe. This is the most Black Mirror universe thing that I can think of. I mean, this was in the last season of Black Mirror. You do a humiliation ritual to get money, and then you take that money and you gamble with it. Stake and Roobet, the two of the largest casinos, disagreed with many of our findings about their marketing tactics and measures to prevent underage gambling. Stake noted that its collection of sponsorship reflects the high standard to which we operate. In response to the Times findings regarding the industry's tactics, Ms. Fitzgerald said, Stake had tools in place to promote responsible gaming and stop underage gambling. We implement stringent checks and use real-time monitoring systems to identify suspicious activity and prevent unauthorized platform use, she said. Ms. Fitzgerald pointed to Stake sponsorship deals with major sports leagues as evidence that it is a well-trusted company. Yeah, they used the money to normalize their existence. They used the money to normalize their existence by purchasing like premium advertisement slots. And then they point to those premium advertisement slots and partnerships to say, what do you mean? We don't have a reputation, right? We are a legitimate company. Jeff Ifrah, a lawyer for Roobet, which is founders based in the United States, said in a statement that the site complies with all laws in accordance with its Curacao license and removes users who are violating its terms. Roobet is proud of their streaming partners and works to promote safe and responsible gaming to adult audiences, Mr. Ifrah said. Other crypto casinos include Shuffle and BC Game did not respond to our request for comment. The spokesperson for Snoop Dogg, who had a deal with Roobet that ended shortly after we sent him questions, gave this response. The other celebrity streamers we reached out to didn't respond. Drake, whose full name is Aubrey Drake Graham, declined to comment for the story through a representative, Mr. Ross, as well as XG and Trainwrecks, whose real names are Felix Lengyel and Tyler Nicknam, did not respond to requests for comment. As a spokesman for Snoop Dogg, who partnered with Roobet, said in a September statement to the Times, Snoop take these issues seriously. He's no longer working with Roobet and has no plans to do so in the future. There's much more about these crypto casinos that we wrote about, including the trouble states have in regulating these sites. Read the full investigation here. This is so far, this is one of the most comprehensive articles that's been written about this. A very long investigation that took months to put together. And the situation has gotten even more dire. If you guys recall, this was something that I warned about years ago. This was something that I first warned about when Stake, the actual casino, came onto the scene. It was something that I first said was not the best. And then when Stake was banned, then they went back to the drawing board and they basically developed their own website, which is ironic because they did it with Amazon anyway. They still use AWS, the website known as Kick. And I was punished endlessly for speaking the truth at the time, even to this day, with a ton of animosity and hatred. I warned people I said, this is going to be very bad. A lot of people are going to be hurt in the process. But as I've said before, on the one hand, this kind of stuff creates enmity and animosity amongst content creators who are directly getting the bag, getting these big ass deals. But it also even creates a sense of antagonism between content creators who might want to get the bag. Because if there's someone who is a fairly large content creator who is actively saying, no, this is bad, don't do it, all of a sudden it makes other people look bad. So people have to aggressively, like content creators have to aggressively push back on this and vilify you. Honestly, feels like the juicer's hyper scrutiny of your whole life now is all tied back to your criticism of staking gambling. It's part of it. Yes, that's what's so funny about it is that is a major part of this problem. Yes. Does CNN partner in Kalshi also legitimize stake, even though I don't think Kalshi is crypto? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. I was going to say that this environment has gotten even worse. This environment has gotten even more dangerous. And it ties back to something I talk about quite a bit with hustle culture and Sigma grind set memes and things like that, where people only care about hustle. People only care about the hustle. People only care about making their money, getting the bag. That is the highest priority. And it's like average people that aren't actually getting the bag in this process, but are simply riding for their favorite content creators who are actually getting the bag in the process. And the watchers are actually getting fucked over in the process because they might develop crippling gambling addictions, are without realizing advocating for this and defending this even if it harms them. Unfortunately, things have gotten completely out of control, especially with these prediction markets, right? Which is gambling by a different name. Kalshi is another one that recently sponsored CNN. There's a partnership with CNN now between CNN and Kalshi, and it's really fucked up. On the sports betting side, it's completely out of control. That's why you have like ESPN doing betting segments. I don't know why this is like difficult for people to comprehend. The accessibility and the lack of regulation surrounding this stuff is the major problem. And if you think that a creator of my size has not been approached on numerous occasions to actively promote gambling, you're delusional. Of course I have been, with massive contracts, more money than people will make in an entire lifetime. I say no to them because I think it's inappropriate to do so. Once again, I am not and I will not be in favor of prohibition. I am in favor of regulation. Okay, I'm not in favor of prohibition. I'm in favor of regulation. The issue that I have with a lot of these new initiatives is that it makes it endlessly accessible, not only just for children, but just endlessly accessible in general. If you can gamble on your phone, it makes it infinitely harder to combat. It makes it infinitely harder to deal with. Kalshi CEO squirming.
Why did you guys make Donald Trump Jr. a strategic advisor?
We have a lot of advisors. And they span across the board, across different functions. But really, this is all about growing this industry, the prediction market industry that a lot of people really believe in.
What kind of advice does he give you?
So it really is, again, about growing prediction markets,
Yeah, the advice he gives... The advice he gives you is how to get around any sort of what remains of the regulatory regulation.
He believes in prediction markets. We believe in prediction markets. A lot of people believe in prediction markets, and it's really about go-to-market and expansion plans.
Does he come to meetings? How much do you pay him? What's his role? I mean, this is the son of the president.
We have a lot of advisors, and whether it's our investors, whether it's people that we really trust and respect.
But he's not just any advisor. He has a direct line to the White House.
We have a lot of advisors.
Why?
Yeah, great response from this guy. Anyway, the whole point is gambling is the gambling addiction out of all the other addictions has the highest rate of suicide. A lot of people don't understand what the actual addictive nature of gambling is. It's not about winning. It's about the predictive element. It's about waiting to see whether you won or lost. That's when your dopamine spikes. And in this day and age where people are in desperate financial circumstances, they unfortunately see this as like an opportunity for upward social mobility, especially because there is no normal method of upward social mobility that is accessible or even exists. There is none. You can't get a regular 9-to-5 job and work your way through the corporation and get a pension, get a wife, have children, white picket fence home, and just live out the rest of your days happy, surrounded by friends and family with hobbies. That's not a real thing. You're stuck in a dead-end job. You hate your boss. You know you're never going to retire. You know you're never going to be able to own a home. So you take like the crumbs that you have on the side of disposable income at the end of the day and dump it into this thing because you think, well, maybe I can make it. In the absence of alternatives, that looks like a viable route. And our society keeps pumping this idea. Our society keeps normalizing this perspective. And it's impossible to combat because these companies make a ton of money. And the more money they make, the more they can normalize their existence, the more they can continue getting partnerships, the more they can destroy whatever kind of regulatory hurdles would normally exist. Did you know some people are earning six figures betting on things like movie reviews, album release dates, and even whether a CEO gets fired? Here are the prediction markets, the other side of this. The commodification of hope has turned into gambling on virtually everything. Back in the day, I feel like when you had to go to a bookie or something to bet money on any kind of athletic competition, there was a separation between like the average person, the average Joe being able to do this and, the real fucking addicts engaging in this sort of act. Now you can do it on your phone. And not only that, but now you can gamble on virtually everything. And back then, if someone like Michael Jordan, for example, would gamble on whether or not he could actually make a shot into the trash can, people kind of understood that as a guy with a serious problem. Like there are stories of Michael Jordan, putting up massive bets about whether or not he'll be able to throw trash in the trash can or something from afar. And he like gambles with the security or some shit, like, because people know that that's a big issue, right? Like when someone would do that, when someone started gambling on like their golf swings or whatever, you were like, okay, Hank, it seems like you have a little bit of a problem. Whereas nowadays, with the invention of prediction markets, you can basically do that on your phone and everyone can do that. It is like completely accessible. That's like the max. If there are tiers to degenerate gambling addicts, being able to gamble on an album release date is probably the highest tier of a gambling addict. And now the highest tier of gambling addiction is completely serialized and incredibly accessible.
Some people are now making six figures betting on things like movie reviews, album release dates, and even whether a CEO will get fired. A new wave of prediction market traders are earning full-time incomes on platforms like Polymarket and Kalshi, where users wager on real-world outcomes in politics, sports, pop culture, and finance. And the payouts are getting big. One bettor made more than $44,000 correctly calling how Moana 2 would perform. Another pocketed $7,500 predicting the release date of Taylor Swift's latest album. And these aren't random guesses. Super users say the edge comes from being early and being obsessive. They scour small review blogs for early film reactions. They analyze.
Brother, I'm on these gambling markets. As we've shown on this broadcast before, is it Polymarket or Kalshi that has like a bet on whether or not I will attend the Zohran Mamdani swearing in ceremony, dude? Like, that's insane. That's insane. What the hell is going on? I'm not telling you guys whether I'm going to attend or not, okay? Because I don't even know. It's not even something that I had considered at all. And I hate that this is like, but like, think about how up this is. I could literally every day talk about how I'm going, how I'm going to go, definitely, and then just not show up. And I could put money on the no pick. I could dump a ton of money on the no pick and then make money off of my audience thinking that they're going to actually win and win big. Please do not bet on this. Don't be stupid. Jesus Christ. I cannot believe that we're just calling gambling on the news or even other more irrelevant than the news a prediction market. And when you call it a prediction market, there's less regulation surrounding it. So you can do whatever the fuck you want, I guess. Awesome.
Song streaming data. They use AI bots to track political schedules. Some even study arbitrage techniques that look a lot more like hedge fund trading than gambling. Platforms like Kalshi and Polymarket are now valued at around $10 billion, and Wall Street is paying attention. Big players, from DraftKings to FanDuel, are pushing into the space, calling prediction markets the next evolution of financial trading. But pros warn that the rush of dumb money is changing the game. These markets are peer-to-peer, meaning traders profit off of each other, not a casino. And as more users pile in, competition is getting tougher. In an October survey, Bloomberg Markets asked 406 readers about prediction markets. 90% of respondents said that they saw a convergence between gaming.
China had opium that led to their decade of humiliation. America will have gamba. Yeah, the difference is China didn't bring the gambling apps to the United States of America. We did it to ourselves. Yeah, there's a frog in the boiling water elements on this too. On Polymarket, you can bet on whether Gaza will be ethnically cleansed. On Kalshi, you can bet on whether there will be famine in Gaza. That one paid out for yes, by the way. This is objectively depraved and should not be legal, but it is not only legal, but totally normalized and never commented on by anyone in our media. CNN, by partnering with Kalshi, is going to be reporting on the news now while offering the chance to wager on these events on mass death, starvation, dispossession, and genocide. The fate of victims on an ongoing genocide, a genocide often supported and backed by these same investors and executives of these gambling apps, are just another chip on a roulette table. The total dehumanization of the billions of NPCs they wager on and fleece is complete and total. Someone should ask CNN reps, now that they've partnered with Kalshi, if they will be offering betting markets on air that involve wagering on mass famine and populations experience genocide, like Kalshi did a few months ago. Would love to hear their answer. They will never ask that. I'm curious, forecaster Enton, since you're reportedly the point man on this. Yeah, I hated, as much as I love Harry Emden, Holy Toledo, I hated every time he brought up Kalshi. If you recall, months prior to this full-blown announcement between CNN, this full-blown partnership between CNN and Kalshi, if you recall, he would always bring in the prediction markets into his analysis. Toledo has fallen. And you would always say this is such bad journalism because it's not journalism, but it is a reliable source for statistics on a news show. No, it's not. No, it's not. Especially because you do it on your phone. No, there are so many instances where Kalshi and Polymarket tried to literally game out the outcome. There are so many instances where these betting markets, these prediction markets, were getting massive donations to make it seem like one candidate was actually overperforming as opposed to the real polls that were coming out. Are you crazy? At least with polls, which get things wrong, there is a vested interest in traditional polling to make sure that you are as close as possible to the final outcome. And if you get it wrong, then your reliability goes down, right? With betting markets, if you get it wrong, it doesn't matter because one side is still winning over the other. So using a betting market as a reliable metric for the potential outcome of an election is insane to me because they have a perverse incentive. They don't have an incentive in being reliable. They don't give a shit whether they're reliable or not because one side is always, as a matter of fact, one side makes more money when they're unreliable, actually, because the payout is bigger.
And finance in the future. And almost an equal number say the blurring line between investing and gambling warrants further regulation. Still, many see opportunity. For traders with real skill or real luck, prediction markets have become the latest speculative boom, blurring the line between investing, gaming, and everything in between.